Hey guys, it's G-Rad here. So, I think it's time for a little bit of theory now. I know there's been a lot of questions surrounding kind of why objects from one dimension are mixing into another dimension, why characters are seemingly able to have interactions with entirely different universes despite having never actually met anybody from those other universes. They dream it, they hear voices, they remember, things that they really shouldn't. I think I might have a theory which could explain some of this. Maybe all of it, maybe none of it. I'll let you guys decide and let me know what you guys think, obviously, in the comments. Again, prefacing this, it's all theory. It's theory. It's theory. Okay? So, a while back, I had seen the image put together of the ripped up diary notes by Dr. Richtofen found in Shadows of Evil. I'd seen, I think the first person I really saw the full image from was Mr. Dalek, which, good for him and his guys that do all, work with him. I think we had about 2 pieces or so that we just couldn't find of this image. And it was really driving us nuts. And then we finally saw Dalek put it up, and I'm glad they did, because I was really banging my head against the wall trying to find these things and put them together. But anyway, there's a section in this image which is really alluring to me, that really drew my attention. It's the part of the image that shows a giant Earth, and dotted all around it is seemingly endless rows of smaller Earths. Now, these Earths obviously signify the multiple realities or dimensions or universes, whatever you want to call them. It's been thought by some that the larger, more prominent Earth simply represented the original dimension, or at least maybe the one that Richtofen was currently in. Now, I never really thought much of this. Just I guess I kind of took it for granted, or just took it for what it was, and it kind of seemed like a pretty open and shut case, really. Just didn't think too much into it. But when I started thinking of why these characters have suddenly been increasingly aware of others in different dimensions, and why, say, our original 4, or Origins 4, have been having dreams and visions and such more so, I remembered that image. And again, this is just theory, this is not fact, I don't think, but I do think there are signs which kind of legitimize this idea. And I'll start this theory off with a quote from Nero, which is very telling. "This is an interdimensional convergence. Other galaxies, other realities are bleeding into our own." Okay, interdimensional convergence. These dimensions have all existed independently of one another and are now bleeding into one another, where we see objects from one universe and another. We have characters remembering things that their counterparts knew from different dimensions. We have characters feeling like they've met or are referring to others, like Weasel with Nikolai and things like that, but they couldn't have possibly known each other. So this convergence, to me, is a merging of the dimensions down to potentially a singularity. This image we see of all the different dimensions and of the giant Earth was thought to represent the original Earth, and dimensions might have been offshoots from it. But what if what we're seeing here is instead the convergence of these dimensions ultimately the singularity of them all, where all dimensions have truly merged as one and all realities are now one in the same? In a sense, the more these dimensions interact with one another, you can even say the faster we see this convergence occurring. Where before characters spoke kind of whispers they'd hear in their heads, or faint and vague memories or dreams, we're starting to see now full-blown convergence to the point where the realities are joining. We see this very clearly in Shadows of Evil, where their dimension, where Morgue City is and all that, is merging with the evil kind of thing. These universes are merging it, and again, it seems the more they interact, the faster and more aggressive it occurs. Another aspect we are seeing isn't only dimensional convergence, but also convergent evolution within the characters. Looking at our Origins 4, we see in the Giant that they've begun to revert back to their kind of world at war selves to a certain degree. Each character has slowly begun to allude to themselves similarly to that, what we saw with them. They talk about losing their hair, vodka, Emperor. Richtofen is starting to basically sound kind of like a lunatic again at times, especially in the actual game map play, where he's screaming about blood and killing and all this kind of stuff again. And as these dimensions are converging to this singularity, their minds, actions, and mannerisms seem to be merging as well. So they're becoming what their other characters were and just melting together to become one Richthofen, in a sense. So you can argue that why Richthofen is going to these different dimensions and killing these other Richthofens is actually to preserve his current state. He does not want his other self or other selves to bleed into him and taint his existence, whereas others, you're seeing this happen. Don't have any recollection of Nikolai saying that they've gone to other dimensions and had to kill another Nikolai, or that Tank or Takio they've had to do this to themselves. It's only Richthofen, and they've been killing Richthofen.
We may have failed in our mission, but at least there is now one less Richthofen to deal with. If it is any consolation, tell him that the first one is the hardest. I should know. I've killed at least 3 Richthofens.
Why is it only killing Richthofen? If these universes are converging, and if the beings within those universes are converging within themselves, so in a sense, all the Nikolais will, once the singularity occurs and becomes that singular Earth, that singular dimension in reality, all the Nikolais will, theoretically merge together into one Nikolai. It'll be one person. There's only then one Nikolai, but it encompasses the vast spectrum of the Nikolais. Kind of maddening, and in a sense, I kind of don't know how that would really be put down and to play that, or what that would really entail. But it does somewhat explain what Richthofen's actions are in going around and having everybody kill the various Richthofens. He's stealing items from other dimensions so that he controls that power now, and he's going around to the other dimensions and killing off himself. Maybe taking away undesirable traits that he does not want within him. In a sense, it's kind of a interdimensional eugenics type deal here. I mean, it's really kind of crazy. I mean, I might even go so far as to say that what we see is in the original Origins, in the Origins cutscene with the children, that this is kind of already happening to a certain degree. It's really vague, maybe not the best example, but it kind of makes sense. When they're called to the basement, it's because you hear the emergency sirens sound and Maxis calls them down. Well, if that note from Richthofen is correct, and the various images we've seen of this house are true, they seem to kind of exist in their own little universe with, you just see floating rocks and random crap around them. It doesn't seem like it's much existence to this universe. So they might be in their own independent universe, their own dimension, where it's kind of empty. That's where they hid the children to be safe. Now, what the reason is to hide them or to keep them safe, I don't know. Maybe just because there's some power within them. But it could be that the sirens, or what is the danger that they're trying to hide from when the sirens go off. It could be that this siren isn't for some physical danger that's approaching. It's not like the hellhounds are coming or the zombies are coming or that, any of that stuff. But rather, it's signaling the appearance or the coming of this convergence, and signals the danger of the singularity, where even their universe will become one with the others. So they won't be safe anymore, or, whatever. Something I'm definitely going to look for in the DLCs is if we hear Samantha begin to revert back to her old self as well. I have to be honest, if I hear that little girl start talking in a German accent from time to time, I think I might lose my shit. And if this dimensional convergence does lead to a singularity of realities between these various universes, we have some seriously bonkers DLC to look forward to, with perhaps an extraordinarily epic finale. Could you imagine the what you would have to do and what you'd have to deal with when you're basically combining all these realities together? Frankly, I don't even know how I would even imagine it. It would be too much. Anyways, as I said, guys, this is a theory. Perhaps it makes sense. I hope it does. I tried to explain it as best I could, and maybe you can see where this might be leading to. there's certainly no shortage of imagination, wiggle room over here. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe. We appreciate any feedback. Let me know what you think. Seriously, I mean, this is kind of one of those things that I sit there and go, this is kind of a big deal and explains a lot of the various actions for these characters. So what do you think? Is this plausible? Does it make sense? Is there something that I'm totally missing? Let me know. All right, guys? Take care. Later.